All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got movement. Now we have a close-up. Oh, okay, cool. All right, so that's how we're started. Got it. Okay, so here we go. We've got Suki versus TSYMQ. Take two. Suki again, the Asian #3 clan. TSYMQ, Chinese #2 team. SeaRaptor, why don't you tell us about the Suki lineup?
Show thing. Starting here on the north side in green, Suki bringing double Ohio. A little bit of brisk, a little bit of concealment, a little bit of old-fashioned American plotting room deuce there in slot 6. Both battleships built fairly similarly, although it's notable that Starry Party has opted for the extra repair party. There it is. I'll come up with it in a minute. There we go. So he should be slightly, like ever so slightly more survivable, assuming he gets the opportunity to use that. They've got a 3-cruiser lineup here for Suki. That is Haruka's Moskva here headed towards mid. Concealment and unique upgrade module to go with top grade gunner. Shikishima's Brisbane. Boy, that's going to mess me up all day long. Going gun reload. No torpedo skills there, leaning very much into the gunboat side of Brisbane. And then headed over here to the right, we ought to have another Brisbane's. That's a Garrow. And a very similar build, although a little bit more on the torpedo, at least picking up the torpedo reload skill. I think just an acknowledgement to the wide A flank, more opportunity to flex those torpedoes. Going with him over here in this gearing, that's Emilia. We've got a largely torpedo-focused build there in slot 6, but with the engine and smoke and RPF, we've been seeing quite a bit of that variant over the course of the tournament. Munon's Daring here playing mid, almost purely a gun build, although taking a little bit of an extra flood chance there on those single-launch torpedoes. Sorta's Daring also headed towards C. Dazzle on that Daring, along with RPF and a gun build. And then PLAN's Harugumo here with that now familiar smoke, gun range, and concealment RPF build. Talk to me about the TSYMQ lineup here, Zath.
All right, opposing to the south, TSYMQ bringing with them a Daring, heading towards the Charlie Cap right now. It looks like a pretty much gun build. We got our 420 Blaze it all Harugumo, followed up by a Minotaur. Obviously, that's a Manitar. Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. With consumables spec and a Stalingrad that's range spec behind him. Over towards the middle of the map is the single battleship for TSYMQ, bringing one Montana. And then heading on over towards the Alpha Cap, we see a Moskva. That is unique upgrade Moskva. Behind a Brisbane. Now this Brisbane looks like he's running kind of mix of everything except outnumbered, interestingly enough. Harugumo currently making the 420 Blaze It Smoke Snail and a Delny. Now this is the first time, Raptor, we've seen a Delny this weekend.
This weekend, yes. We did see Delny in the North American Regional Finals weekend, however.
That is correct. And this is running, looks like a kind of a turret traverse and gun spec. So we'll see what Watery is able to do with that ship.
Now, both teams onto a cap, of course. The Delny jetting over to A, grabbing that very quickly on behalf of TSYMQ, whereas Suki grabs B completely unopposed. TSYMQ basically picking a very flank-heavy play. They're playing to hold A and C. They've more or less surrendered the middle of the board. We've seen this happen on Warriors Path before, Zath, and sometimes it comes back to bite these teams. We'll have to see if TSYMQ can make it work.
It's going to be interesting to see. I'm surprised on a couple of levels, right? Obviously, TSYMQ bringing one battleship is interesting. This map is quite large. So you're kind of forced to keep the battleship mid, which is what they're doing with the Montana.
Yes.
The other thing I noticed was Schlagstift's Ohio. That's the one over on the Charlie 8 line at the C cap. He's spec'd actually very differently from the other Ohio. He's got more into turret traverse, including in slot 3, taking the main battery, the turny, whichever one that's called, along with the special grease the gears. So very interesting. It makes you think he's planning on being a little bit more frosty with those turrets compared to your typical tank build.
Yeah. One of the other things that I wanted to point out about TSYMQ's Minotaur over here on the C flank, a little unusual build here that I'm not used to seeing, running both outnumbered and top grade gunner simultaneously. So going for just all the main battery reload they can get out of that ship, which I find really interesting.
Well, you're giving up obviously radiolocation in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
And so I guess the question is, are they expecting the Harugumo to
Oh
provide that
no,
intelligence for them?
Zath, have a look at James's daring over here at the C
Where's
cap.
that?
He's gonna reverse at the bottom into C. He's gonna reverse into
I
one
see it
torpedo. Yep.
with Hydra going.
His hydro's going, but he turned and beached himself, preventing any ability to move out of the way of those.
Yeah, that's
It's
oof.
it's interesting to me that TSYMQ is deployed so heavy to the sea flank, and yet they surrendered control of the cap early, despite having 2 radars here. The Minotaur, we were just talking about that, was Nuoli. He had moved up. He had popped his radar. The Suki smoke cloud was just outside his range, so he aggressively moved up, and then he and the Harugumo had some coordination problems getting that fixed up, trying to get that smoke. There's a reason that Harugumo smoke looks very, very sloppy on the bottom end of the cap.
It feels like they weren't quite set up properly.
Yeah,
And as a result, Sora's daring was able just to kind of go right into C
yeah,
and get the cap for free.
yep.
James now trying to get it back. It's interesting as well. Nuoli bringing the Minotaur when Brisbane is not banned. I almost feel like you'd kind of want that extra 2 kilometer radar range here.
I think they're playing for duration on this cap, right? Because you've got the Stalingrad backing them up at sea that's got the range, and then the Minotaur has the radar duration. But man, James getting absolutely punished here, despite having a radar advantage. TSYMQ not able to hold this cap, and their daring being just absolutely gutted here by, well, just about everybody, down to 1500
Yeah.
HP early.
Yeah, he's off detect now, and his heal is available, so that's going to start coming up. There we go.
Over
So
the A
he'll
cap,
rub some band-aids on it.
over at the A cap, we can see TSYMQ's defense working effectively for the moment.
Look at
Yindan's
B.
what? Oh,
Look at B. Look at the Delny on the 6-7 line.
it's a little ballsy play. Delny not exactly known for
Yeah.
these kinds of maneuvers. She's got the speed, but she generally doesn't have the stealth. That's interesting. What is Watery up to in here, I wonder?
I'm curious because I'm sure Munan's radio location is pointing at the Delny, and I'm sure that Sora's radio location is about to flip to the Delny if it hasn't already. So that should tell Zuki, hey, you got somebody over here.
Oh, I think I see it. Watery now looks like he's going to work the inside gap. You remember seeing that
There's the
game that
radar.
we cast? Yep, there's the radar. They know exactly where he is now. Do you remember seeing that game that we cast way back in like day 2 or day 3 with the Vampire Deuce, Mr. Deacon that made this maneuver?
Yep.
I think
Yep.
we're seeing some of that here. They're going to double up here. They're going to shove him into the side of the cap. Yes, he'll take some shots, but it's a Delny. He can weather some of that fire because he's got a heal. Oh no,
Yeah,
Sora going
Sora
out.
takes the torps.
Going out. Hydro not available. Beautiful daring torps, and James wins that exchange.
Yeah, completely broke the keel, the back of that destroyer as it sinks in 2 pieces. Love that animation.
Huge kill for TSYMQ. Not sure how Suki defends the sea cap now.
I don't think they can.
I don't think they can either, as their Ohio Starry Party takes a good-sized hit there from Sumore's Montana.
Here comes a little bit of radar Harugumo action, though, on the 10 line. Take a look at this.
It's a ballsy
Ku
charge.
is going to... Ku is in trouble because
think-
he's on the Brisbane radar.
They're gonna lose the Harugumo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not sure why. After you just taken out their destroyer and flipped the sea cap, I'm not sure why you make that play, Zath.
That play was already in motion when it happened, and it's
Okay.
kind of like you can't just stop.
No, that's true. It's not that
You know.
simple. Ship this big, don't stop on a dime.
That's right. That's right.
Now, they're continuing to fish for PLA and Harugumo back there. They know he's low, but not coming up with anything. Nuoli's radar's down for another 90 seconds, so they're not going to get the opportunity. But it does mean that Suki's other surviving destroyer on this flank is going to have to pull back. He basically can't get spotted the rest of the game, or he's going to be free points for the other team.
Well, exactly. So you were just talking about how Suki can get back into CCAP, and now we have a way back in, at least potentially.
Possibly. You still have the
Uh-oh,
Delny.
look at Shikishima Mother Brisbane on the border, sliding along, but gonna take 1 torp, I think. No. Wow. Did you see that Raptor?
I did not. I was looking. I'd rotated the camera back toward B. I'm trying to keep an eye on this battleship duel that's happening across the middle of the map here. TSYMQ's only battleship stuck in versus Starry Party here is Starry kind of pushing towards the A cap. I think SeaRaptor realizing that C is a lost cause, having to make a play on the other side of the map. They're doing a great job of beating up Shihun's Moskva here, who's down under 15K, down to his last heal. His last heal's about to come off cooldown, and I think they're going to pick up that kill shortly. All the way on the A line, Yandian's Brisbane also looking really, really rough.
Yeah, we also missed that exchange. It must have been either torpedoes or a really nice Ohio salvo.
Could be a little bit of both. The torpedo soup has been thick at A. We talked about that right between the Gearing and Garrow's Brisbane. So now CC here. Let's see. Is that his last smoke? Not his last smoke. He's got a couple more after that. So Yandian's got smoke again as the Moskva radar picks up Amelia's Gearing on the top end of A, but they're going to lose Shihun here in just a sec.
Yeah, James, I'm surprised, gets in there with his guns right away. They're trying to obviously stem the bleeding for the Moskva, but he gets himself detected and then pops the smoke. So that does alert SeaRaptor that, hey, your daring is here. And it also kind of gives him an idea of how low health he is.
SeaRaptor working only a single cap and a 100-point lead. 8 minutes to play here in game one. They are currently working a ship advantage. The radar now catching the Brisbane broadside in the smoke down here. That's Yandian as the Ohio shells start to come in, but they miss.
They do. Radar's expiring as well, so...
Yep. They'll lose those eyes in a moment.
Yep. Starry Party actually beaches himself with the Ohio. Munan's daring coming, probably going to put the smoke up to try to help. There it is. Try to keep Starry Party alive.
Give him a spike. Give him a little breather there. His next heal is about 20 seconds away. That's just enough time for him to sit in that smoke, get a little bit of a reprieve, and get a heal going.
Munan's rear turret in the daring, their third turret, is destroyed. He only has the first two available.
Okay.
Interesting.
Amelia's Gearing is going to pick up A. I don't think they're going to be able to get shells on him for the reset in time. 2-1, and there's the flip. Now he's got to bail out of there and salvage his ship. SeaRaptor continuing to put pressure on TSYMQ here. Working about a 100-point lead right there. 50 seconds on the timer. TSYMQ needs a kill.
They absolutely need to find a way to get a kill. I think this Gearing is going to be their decision to make it happen. But the problem is they don't have him detected. So you could see right there, CC and Nisaragumo just kept shooting, trying to find him. But in the process is now detected and has taking return fire.
20 seconds. Time ticking away here. SeaRaptor with that catastrophic destroyer loss at the C flank, just reorganizing, pulling back, making a different decision, making the play at A instead. Seeming like they're going to make this work, Zath. 7 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how TSYMQ is going to be able to make something happen at this point.
Nope.
Montana's trying to get into B, but it's just too late.
Just too late as SeaRaptor holds on despite the early loss, that early ship loss. They hold on for a win here in game one.
You know, one of the crucial moments was Shikishima Mother hitting that border, and I called your attention to that. You guys kind of might have missed it on your end, but I'll tell you what, he was basically broadside to a whole host of torpedoes coming. But because he's using a British light cruiser, they've got that special engine zhuzh, and the border really doesn't affect them as much. As a matter of fact, they can accelerate ridiculously along the border. That's what saved his ship from those torpedoes.
Wow.
And that probably changed the game.
Yeah, indeed. Two really good teams here, two very evenly matched teams, Zath. It was interesting to see that the TSYMQ, kind of AC split and the way SeaRaptor dealt with it, and them holding on to a win here in game one. Well, listen, let's throw it back to Gaishu and Bogsy. Let them chat about this for a minute. We'll see you guys back for game two shortly.
Yeah, let's